Hello, you
Hello,
guys, and welcome to the.
Women's Cave.
We're sharing. We're being polite today. Although I really wanted to take it for myself, I'm not gonna lie.
Of course she did. She's the narcissist.
I was about to say, as a narcissist, I feel like it should probably just be my right.
At all times.
I'm gonna go first.
Wow, at all times.
I'm not. You make it
There
sound
are
bad.
several songs that she could be applying to her life and life principles, but I'm not gonna go there. I'm not gonna go there.
Oh please.
I mean, as a narcissist, you feel like you should go first all the time.
I didn't say all the time on everything. All the time, right? Never mind. I'm not. It doesn't matter.
You know
Anyway,
what? I'm gonna let you go first.
no.
Yeah.
I don't want to go first. My brain isn't on.
No,
I don't have. Oh,
Winona, take it away.
that's rude.
I'm Jade.
Oh my goodness, yes, I'm Winona. Remember to semi-introduce ourselves. No?
Oh, I'm letting you go first. So I want your hand to be up for a while. I wanted your hand to be up for a while. So
Never mind.
You feel like you
High-five
went
me. I went first.
You high-fived yourself?
Yes. After to the
See,
myself.
this is what narcissism gets you. No friends. So you see why you shouldn't be a narcissist? Like, you can think a lot about yourself, but if you want friends, don't do it.
Okay.
I feel like I did a public announcement.
I was just about to say, this is not one of those, like, afternoon specials. After school specials.
After school specials? How old are you?
Old enough to remember
After school specials? Oh, my parents told me about that.
Oh, forget it. Never mind.
My older aunts and uncles. I don't remember.
Bah humbug on this whole introduction. Bah humbug. We wrote books.
Yeah, we did. We were literally like guys with pop poetry. See, this is why I shouldn't want to go first. Just saying. And we're just gonna give you like the top 4 books because there's so many of them. So let me just give you the top 4 books, right? That should probably be checking out if you want to check out any of our books. And I Thought Divorce Was Bad. And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy. Both of them are available on Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and Audible.com.
Did we show And I Thought Being Grown Up Was Easy because there's a new cover? I'm sorry. I'm being quiet.
Because you know what happens? You get no friends.
Just take your second time. Take your second level time. There you go.
Wow. It's there today, y'all.
It is. I'm sorry.
Today.
I'm going to be better tomorrow. Were you saying And I Thought Being Grown Up is
okay,
available on Audible.com?
Okay. And I thought I did my journey alone, which is one of our all poetry books. And then If Only I Were Me, it is another would you please put your hand down? This is not your time. You had your first time. You didn't say nothing with it. Now it's my time. Thank you. I said it sweetly too, the thank you. Thank you. And If Only I Were Me is only available on BarnesandNoble.com, but the rest of the And I Thought series and the Misfit Guide series available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and let's see, what else? Yeah, that's it. And you can find, and we are the co-founders of 25 Hottest Indie Authors, Artists, and Advocate magazine. And you can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. Well, Nona, here you go. Take it.
What? No. Oh, you don't want to hear anything else about us. You want to hear about our wonderful guests. Wonderful guests, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello. Well, my name is Elizabeth Kracht, and I'm a literary agent with Kimberly Cameron and Associates, which is located in Tiburon, California. And so I'm here to kind of be interviewed by you two wonderful women, and looking forward to being a part of your podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, you guys, I just want to tell you, this is one of the few times we actually will be professional.
Oh yeah, like no. We are always professional-ish. We love to laugh and we love to learn. So we're always ish. But we're going to be super professional. Well,
because we have the questions.
We have questions and we wrote them down, which is amazing. So let's go first.
No, I lied. I want to ask a question that's not there. How did you get started?
Well, I got started actually kind of in the, do you mean in the publishing industry?
Yeah. Writing and publishing.
Yeah, in the publishing industry, I kind of got started kind of at a time like now in 2009 when we had that real terrible economic downturn, and I had just moved back from Puerto Rico, and I couldn't find a job. And so what ended up getting me into publishing was just that at some point after applying for like 600 jobs, I decided to focus on what I was really passionate about, which was books. And turn my life toward, trying to kind of look for an opportunity in book publishing. And then I found a couple internships, and I had heard that people were finding jobs kind of in odd ways through internships. And so I started in doing an internship for a small publisher and for a literary agency. And then right through those avenues, that's where I found my job. So the minute I kind of turned my life toward what I was passionate about, the doors opened, basically. So that's kind of where I got started. I mean, there was some buildup to that, obviously, in my work experience, but that's kind of when the doors opened for me in publishing.
I like that very much.
Now we're gonna go.
Let's talk
to
about the
list.
food in Puerto Rico, because I love to eat. Jade, she loves to eat. So
yeah,
food, Puerto Rico. What were some of your favorite dishes?
I think the favorite thing that I had there when I lived there was my boyfriend at the time. His grandmother made tostones, which are plantains, like fried plantains with garlic and salt and pepper, and she did them in olive oil. And I've never, ever since that time been able to find them as good as that. So that was one of my favorite things. And, it's kind of famous for its food now. I think in Marin County, they have a place called Soul Food, which is all Puerto Rican food, and it's community style. You go in and sit, at benches. I mean, not now during COVID, but tostones, and I'm not much of a meat eater, but they have things like churrasco and things like that, but also mofongo, which is the kind of a plantain mash that sometimes would have meat in it, or arroz con gandules, I think, which is a bean, so rice and beans and things like that. So it's just, all kinds of amazing foods there in Puerto Rico. Yeah, and can be fattening too. So, but I don't really worry about that too much.
I love it. I love it so much.
I'm very hungry now, and now I'm sad because I got Vietnamese food. I do not have anything Puerto Rican food,
and that's okay. It's okay because fortunately, my dad has a really good friend that's Puerto Rican, and she makes some dishes if he calls. So I'll have to be.
Yeah, we're calling.
I'll have to be like, hey, Dad, break out that cash app so you can donate to what the food costs. But
yeah.
So if you see me on the phone during this interview, that's
calling for Puerto Rican food.
Yeah. It's gonna be an hour drive to go get it, but I'm calling.
Yeah, they do the red beans too, instead.
Oh yeah.
So good.
See, I hope it's
calling.
I hope it's his friend.
Yeah, I think my boyfriend's grandmother's food was my favorite. It was just like so good.
Here's the problem. It's like we got introduced to most like Latin countries and Puerto Rico. Latinx countries?
Yes, I think.
Latina. Okay. Most Spanish-speaking places that are on this hemisphere, we got introduced to their food because we were learning Spanish, and we learned it with a group. We didn't learn it like in school. We learned it with a group of friends. But we mostly learned it with a group of friends who introduce you to more friends until you speak Spanish all the time, right?
Right.
But then you also eat the food. And then you're like,
you try to go to a restaurant and it's just not the same.
And when you do find the same, it's like literally a hole in the wall type of place. Mm-hmm. And everyone goes, "Are you coming there?" And I'm like, yes. "Yeah,
I'm absolutely going." With like no, really.
That's
today.
Food.
I just want to today. All right. So my another question
for question. I remember my turn for question.
Mm-hmm.
My turn for question. I know that you are a huge advocate for writers and things. So can you do us all a favor and answer like what type of books you represent and what you look for in a query and a pitch at a festival or a conference?
Okay. So I represent all kinds of books. So I'm looking for both fiction and nonfiction. In the fiction realm, I'll represent women's fiction, historical fiction, mysteries, thrillers. I don't do too much fantasy or speculative or science fiction, but people in my agency do that. So, our agency kind of covers it all. And then in the nonfiction, I look for true crime or science or health, memoir. I love memoir. They're very hard to sell, but I do love people's personal stories. And what else do I represent there? Humor. It just depends on what I find. My boss has given me the opportunity to kind of take on what I feel like to follow my interests. And so I try to, I just kind of do that. I follow my interests and look at projects kind of on an individual basis and also whether I think I can sell them. And then sometimes there are those ones that are like heart projects that you feel like, I don't know if I can sell it, but I'm going to try. And so that's what I represent in terms of my list. And so in a query, what we're looking for really, any agent is looking for, is just really straightforward, because there are a lot of people that kind of over promote themselves, and then some people that under promote themselves, like, I'm not really a writer, but here I am. Or the person who's like, if you don't take me on, I'm going to be like the next bestseller and you're going to regret it. So what we're looking for is like that person that comes in the middle, that's just like, almost like a business letter, that's like, dear so-and-so, I met you at this conference, you agreed to look at my work, or you represent somebody that I've read, that I like, and here's a short summary of my story, and this is what I do, this is my background. And the more straightforward they are, the more we pay attention, because it's like, okay, here's somebody who's taking this seriously, like a formal business letter. So I think if authors or writers can err on the side of just straightforward and to the point and short, that's great. In terms of what, how we're looking for you to come in, like, it's because it's your calling card into the industry. So yeah, that's basically kind of it for, query letters.
Okay, so when you say short, what do you mean? Because authors sometimes, when
we have a short book, it's 50,000 words.
Right. Well, we're talking for just the query letter itself, because we read for a living. We're looking for a query letter that's maybe like 250 to 300 words. So we don't have to scroll down for a long way to read this, because there are certain things that you want in the query letter, like the title, your word count, the maybe a couple comp titles or projects that are similar to yours. Then you've got this brief summary of 150 words maybe, and then a bio about yourself, just for the query letter. And then, so if you're writing a book though, that brings up the word count for books. So the way it works kind of in book publishing is that usually the different genres for book publishing have a guideline for word count. So if you're writing a mystery, for example, or a thriller, thrillers tend to come in around 90,000 words. So like yesterday, when I was taking pitches virtually for Thriller Fest, somebody pitched me a thriller at 55,000 words. So I already know that his work isn't probably developed enough, and he needs to bring that word count up to 90. And so similarly, like if you were writing a women's fiction book and your book was like 110,000 words, I'd tell you to bring it back down to like 85. So there are word counts for projects, and usually that's one of the ways that people get rejected, is because they haven't researched their own genre to see where their work should fall. And so that's one thing that you can do as an author, to kind of look and be like, okay, am I over or under word count? Because it might set off a red flag for an agent. So that's kind of how that differs, with projects and I think Writer's Digest has a really good article that has a list of what's expected word count wise for each genre.
So thank you. That's so like professional and concise. And I feel like it was the right amount of words.
I feel like it was.
If it gets too boring, we can switch it up.
Right in the middle. No, I mean,
well, no, if it's too boring, I'll ask a narcissist question, which is always on the tip of my tongue.
I think one of our guests earlier this week said that Winona should have like her own section. We should have some type of music like da, 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 Winona's narcissist question.
Oh, there you go. That's a good idea.
And no, I don't know what that music was. Like, I don't know. I just made that up in my head.
It felt like a short rendition of Batman.
I don't know what it was.
Change you have the next question, right?
Absolutely. What is a day in the life of an agent like? Because it seems so glamorous.
I mean, it can be that, I guess, when you're kind of swirling around with different people that you meet at events. But, now that we're all kind of operating out of our bedrooms and living rooms, it's not totally that glamorous. But a day in the life, there are a lot of different things can happen. You can be putting out fires for your clients. Like I have a lot of clients that reach out to me because they're nervous about what's happening and they want to know what's happening with their book, or maybe they're having a problem with an editor that they don't like or they're not gelling with. So you're trying to manage two different sides of a situation. You could be in contract negotiations. Of course, there's the reading that we do. We have to read the manuscripts of our clients, but also cold submissions that come in. Yesterday I was doing Pitch Fest for Thriller Fest. So I was taking, for 2 hours, Monday and Tuesday, I was taking pitches from authors. that signed up for a Thriller Fest and doing conferences. So, you know, it's actually kind of overwhelming sometimes because there are a lot of different things that kind of come up that you have to deal with, or maybe you're going to see your boss and check in with her. But, you know, which doesn't leave, you know, so much time for the reading. So it's always kind of a balance and a juggle of different things.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
let's talk a little bit about your book, because I see it right there and I love it. It's so yellow and yellow
The
color.
author's checklist.
Yes.
what can we expect to get out of your book?
Well, kind of like you guys, you know, and how you promote authors and you promote creativity, and you're kind of like, from what I've seen of you and your work, you guys are passionate about promoting other people's creativity and also being creative yourselves, right? And so, because I started out in the industry, you know, when I was younger, I wanted to be writing books as a kid myself. And so when I got into the industry, I was really had a heart for authors. So right from the time that I began writing, or when I got into the industry, once I started to see a lot of submissions come in, I realized how far authors are away from actually being ready for an agent. And because I had that early start of wanting to be an author myself, I felt like I wanted to help them. I wanted to help promote, you know, other people's creativity and help them get further along in the process. So I started writing down notes or taking notes because I found myself giving the same type of advice for projects. And so basically that's what I did. I just began writing everything down and created a book so that I could help authors get closer to their goals and their dreams.
Fabulous. I love it very much. So where can people find your book?
Right now, I mean, they can pretty much anywhere. I mean, online through Amazon, or, you know, request it through an indie bookstore or the library, or even through my publisher, which is New World Library. So yeah, anywhere, just a Google search, probably.
Where can people find more about you online?
Yeah, and I'm with Kimberly Cameron and Associates, so I have a page, a bio on there, and I also have my own website, which is elizabethkracht.com. They can find me on Twitter or on Facebook. So anywhere, really.
Thank you so much for coming
She
on
was
today.
so professional.
Super professional. Like,
in the word.
I feel kind of boring though. Like, you guys are so much more lively than I am.
Oh
No. Really, as authors, I mean, these are questions that people really want to know, because just say I was writing this thriller and it was fabulous, but it was like 150,000 words.
Right.
Like knowing that it comes in roughly 90,000 words would be a lifeline to me if I'm going to pitch that.
Right.
So,
it can make a difference. Yeah.
Right, it can make a difference, and it might be the difference between a no and a maybe. And don't we all want a maybe? I mean, we want a yes, but it will take a maybe.
Yes.
The maybe gives us hope until it becomes a no.
It becomes a no or a yes. So a maybe gives us hope. And if that's really awesome. And you told people today really to do your research on your genre, which is fabulous to know, because
that's important. Yeah.
When you're like, when you're creative and you're writing these wonderful books, maybe you didn't Google it like you should.
Right. Yeah, sometimes the simple things like that really make all the difference. And, you know, and I'd love your listeners to submit to me. You can email me, or when you guys write your next book, Liz@KimberlyCameron.com is my email. And so,
did you know that we're poets?
What was that?
We write poetry.
We write poetry.
No, you shouldn't want us to submit.
So I thoroughly know you can't do
No.
But thank you.
Thank you for the offer.
I want to represent a poetry collection at some point in my life, you know. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, poetry for me. So
no, it's not out of the realm, but should you do it? That is that possibility. And that girl, you should.
You should definitely represent, and someone that writes real good poetry, not pop poetry.
I'm watching this right now. I'm watching this great, it's about the Korean publishing industry, but it's kind of a love story, and it's called Romance is a Bonus Book. I don't know if you've seen it, but it's super cute, but they get into a really funny thing about poetry and the publishing company not wanting to take on poetry because it's like, she asked the same question. I know you want to, but should you?
Absolutely. I mean, and we are poets, and we say it to people all the time. We're like, listen, we are poets, and we get that poetry doesn't sell. Poetry happened to sell for us, but that's that's the exception and normally not the rule.
Wonderfully. In fact, I believe our background story is Jade says, well, Nona, you need to write a book of poetry because I write genre, multiple genres, and they make me money. And I was like, well, Jade,
You want me to be poor?
You want me to be poor for the rest of my life? And I said, I'm not going to do it. And she said, as your best friend, do it for me. So I did it for her. We're at book, 16 now?
Mm-hmm.
And we still make money from poetry. I guess I have to concede my narcissism. I feel real kind of dumb on that one.
Well, I mean,
It was supposed to work.
Well, and in my book too, in the prose section, that's one of the things that I suggest writers do is to read poets. Like if you want to beautify your language and improve your writing, you should be reading poetry, because poets like yourselves, like you have that ability to put things in a beautiful perspective and way with economy of words that other people, they just don't have that, that kind of spark, with language. And so I feel like people should be reading poetry more to like give that extra spark to their writing,
But also, I think that your writing.
I think that like poetry was a little underrated, and I think it's actually becoming more and more popular as the time goes on, because people are recognizing there's a lot of that people can say. And for us, right, well, I know for me, writing is actually, well, not actually, but also it helped me deal with a lot of stuff. Yeah. I didn't know that I was dealing with, and then, like when you start writing it, then it's like, oh, well, all right. I think I'm not angry about that anymore, or
Yeah,
I can let that go. Which
it's therapeutic. I've been a journal writer my whole life too, so it's like it helps you process and and look at perspective. You get to jump out of yourself, So yeah, it's great, I think.
I also love the fact that you were a young writer, and that leads me to a moment where I can brag. Do you mind?
Oh, well, no.
That what? Say it again. Yeah, brag.
Oh, doesn't mind. I said, led me to a fact where I could brag a little. Do you mind?
No, go ahead.
So I got published at 10, so it was the first time I got published. And so I was thinking by like 12, I'd be like at Random House and calling it. I'm like, I have my career. That's not what happened.
But what did you get published? Like, what did you write at 10?
A poem that got published in Highlight.
Oh, that's great. Oh, really? Highlights. I remember Highlights. I mean, it's still around, right?
Yeah, it is, and they still do it for children. But yeah, and so as you see, as her best friend, I knew this, and I was like, return to what got you started to begin with.
Yeah, it's not too late, and it's not too late. Let's face it. Random House, Penguin Random House.
This is
called poetry. No, we write poetry.
We write poetry.
You never know. I think you should, write one collection. That's what I tell people. Just write one thing that you want to get traditionally published, and then just go through that process. And if you, because a lot of people want to, I don't know, like if you want that, like if that's one of your dreams, like I think you should just go for it and try it. You never know.
Yeah. I mean, I think I kind of gave up on that, because I mean, at like 19, I opened like my own publishing company, because I was just like,
oh, did you?
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
She opened it. I mean, the internet is here, so it wasn't super hard. She figured out, but she did everything, like all the processes. Like she even printed her own books just to know what the process was.
Yeah.
To know, like, hey,
and design the thing, and then like literally print the books out and then cut them and then put the pages together and glue them and then put this on and bind it. And I figured it out at my home. So I had like an Office Depot style, printer.
Publishing company. Yeah, that's
I basically have my own publishing company like in my living room.
Absolutely. And like she said, well, I did this process. So when we do self-publish other things, we will know.
Know what to look out for people.
Like they're like, so like a lot of authors, they do white pages when they get their pages printed. And one of the really good key things, so we're giving away secrets. Y'all ready for some good secrets? Yeah. All right, here it is. What book in the bookstore do you pick up that has white pages?
They don't have white pages because it's hard on the eyes.
They have cream pages.
And it's also like, it doesn't feel good to the fingertips. So it's always cream pages.
So you will always see our books have cream pages.
And it feels good to the fingertips, and you can follow
along. It feels like a book. It feels like a one you got from the store.
Yeah.
But that was through printing in your living room and me and like comparing out the books. to
Yeah,
figure out
the
what it
bleed
is.
too, right? Like even the text bleeds and make sure that it's not coming off the margin pages. And a lot of people, I think a lot of people just publish like, and they don't go through that process. They
You got
don't.
margins and you got because you don't always have the same type of book. So you do have the trade paperbacks, and
Uh-huh.
they're a little smaller, and then you have to do a thicker thing. So you need a different type of glue, and so you need to know all these things. So
Right.
I
From the bottom to the top. So if you're gonna self-publish, that's like extremely important. And one of the things that she knew that I didn't know was definitely marketing. You have to market super hard.
That's probably the biggest, when people ask, should I or shouldn't I, which I go over in the book as well, I'm always like, well, you just need to know what, because the difference between the people that really seem to make it and make money like you guys is they're good at promotion and self-promotion and marketing, whereas a lot of people just put it out there and then they're like, my book's not doing anything. I've only sold 100 copies. But they're introverts and they don't do publishing, they don't do promotion and marketing. And so that's a big difference in the people that seem to succeed,
I never really thought about that. Yeah, I guess I did learn it kind of young.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have a good background. I mean,
Yeah, so Lola has a great
So
background.
yeah, I used to set up their book tours, so they would go to different book groups and in different states and stuff.
Yeah.
So I had multiple authors who would go, or if they couldn't go, I'd represent them and go talk for them and stuff like that.
wow. Yeah.
Something different.
I mean, she really didn't charge them anything, but she was like, I'm doing this to just learn because I have to learn. So when I do self-publish my other works, like I will know what I'm up against, and I need to know what I'm up against.
Well, like, once you
I was
do,
just going to say that sometimes it just depends on probably what you want, and like, so you've gone through this whole process and maybe at some point you're going to want, I want an agent. I don't want to have to work so hard anymore. I want somebody else to do the work for me, or who knows, it can be.
oh, I think about that often.
She does, and I look at her.
Like, yeah, we had a choice between an agent and a manager, and we went Hollywood manager instead of literary agent.
Yeah,
that was the right fit for us because we were traveling and doing things, and so a manager was a better fit for us because when you get off of a plane and you're like switching time zones all the time, what you don't want to do is call that hotel and make sure your room is ready. You just want to fall into your bed. You don't care how it happens. Just somebody make it happen.
Well, and you guys are personalities too, because you can you could probably cross over into well, you already probably have television and film and all that kind of stuff. So that does sound like it makes it better, you know what I mean? Because if they can do both worlds, whereas the agents, I mean, we do have film, people that represent film for our books and things like that, but we're not necessarily managing careers like, people that are getting a lot of requests like you guys do to travel internationally and to travel domestically, so it sounds like it's it is a good fit for you guys to have a manager.
Okay. So you guys,
hey,
if there's a literary agent out there that wants to take that literary half on, let us know.
But we write poetry.
We write pop poetry. Okay.
Right. Okay. So just letting you know out there, y'all. Just saying. But all right, so I guess we should wrap it up. But one more time, we want to we want people to know where they can buy your book and if they would like to try to query you. But make sure you read the books that she actually accepts before you query her.
Yeah, yes. What was that?
Can you tell us that information again?
Sure. You can query me at liz@kimberlycameron.com. My website is either you can go to elizabethkracht.com. My last name is spelled Kracht, or you can go to kimberlycameron.com. And my book can be found in the library. My book can be found at indie bookstores or online through Amazon, wherever you get your books. And yeah, that's about it.
What's the title of your book? One more time.
The title of the book is The Author's Checklist and An Agent's Guide to Developing and Editing Your Manuscript. So
fabulous. Thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you for having me, you guys, especially during this time. I hope you guys are, everybody in your family is healthy and safe and sound and
thank you.
Take care of yourselves.
We shall try. We shall definitely try to take care of ourselves.
Jade, would you like to wrap us up?
Absolutely. You can find out everything your ladies are doing on www.andwethought.com. While you're there, take a moment, go to the ladies tab, go to the middle and see the charities that we proudly support. Yes, we know that times are hard, so money might not be a thing for you, and that's okay. Maybe you were like me and actually cleaned up your office and recognized, why do I have all this stuff? and you want to donate to somewhere, you might want to think about donating to them. And even if you don't have that, don't worry. That's okay. Just go to their website and see what they're doing. And you can write them just a little note, maybe like 2-3 sentences that say, thank you for doing such a good work in the world. Keep it up, because who of us doesn't need encouragement? We all do. So we thank you in advance for that. And just remember that wisdom is all around you if
you're open to finding it and accepting it. So peace and love, you guys, from Winona
and Jade.
Bye.
Thank you for listening.